Best 3 cities you've lived in? Would like some ideas on where to go next, preferable a country that will not collapse within 5 years. I lived in NYC for 4 years before moving to London recently. I would like to add that NYC is known for being one of the most, if not the most, expensive cities in the world. And despite that, the most talented, incredibly intelligent, highly educated people flock over there. That subset of people are the best of the best you'll ever meet in their field, and they all decided to eat the cost of living there. What makes NYC great for me is that energy that you really won't find elsewhere.
Hey, what's up, Internet? It's your boy, Digital Danny, coming at you live from... Oh, where am I today? Oh, that's right, this tiny little beach in Bali you've probably never heard of. Just another day in paradise for me. But you're not here to hear about how I spent my morning surfing perfect waves, sipping coffee grown in the mountains of Colombia, or jumping off waterfalls in Thailand. No. You're here for something way more important. You want to know how to live like me, right? How to work from anywhere, on any beach, with any drink in your hand, and make your friends back home jealous every time you post an Insta story. Well, folks, it starts with one simple move. A move so powerful, so life-changing, it'll blow your mind. Hit that like button. Oh yeah, and don't forget to subscribe, because when you subscribe to Digital Danny, you're not just subscribing to a channel, you're subscribing to a lifestyle. The nomad life, the good life, the I make money while I'm scuba diving in the Maldives life. Let's be real, you know you want it. So go ahead and smash that like button like I smashed the best fish tacos in Mexico City last week, and hit that subscribe button harder than the Wi-Fi signal I hijacked at this beach bar. Join the Digital Danny tribe, and maybe, just maybe, I'll teach you all how to do it all while barely lifting a finger. Cheers.
Not but as a semi-succinct answer, I would say it's the greatest city in the world, and when I say that I mean it is the most, or among the most, of most things. I'm not arguing whether itself is the best or the best for any particular people. In New York, for most things you might want to do in a city, they do have some of the highest rated in the world: museums, restaurants, theater, art, music, shopping, bars, fashion. You name it, NYC probably has it. Other cities have many of those things, but I'd say New York's advantage is that it doesn't have the same relative homogeneity of the rest of the world's great cities. London is very English, Tokyo is very Japanese, etc. New York is American, or Eurasian, but American itself is such a mix of cultures that it doesn't affect New York in the same way. I'm not saying it's bad that those cities take on such a flavor of their countries, but in my mind what makes New York rise above is how cosmopolitan and multicultural it is in more of a way than many of those other cities. New York is often cited as the most linguistically diverse city in the world, with more than 800 languages spoken there, and the people that bring those languages also bring their cultures. IMO, New York is the greatest city because it's the most of all the things. I'm definitely not saying it's a great place to live to most people. Most people will be happier living elsewhere, somewhere cheaper, or simpler, or smaller, or bigger. But if what I described is what you're looking for, NYC is the most. NB, for anyone else who may chime in, I wrote this on a train in another very highly rated city, and I'm not looking to argue with people about this today. I've got things to do. I've lived in Barcelona for 10 years, everyone is fed up with tourism and digital nomads, from the grandmas in the market to the uni students. Very few people are going to be an asshole to your face, but very few want you here. It's a shame it's come to this. I think it's pretty easy to see why people are mad. The general attitude is the city has become a theme park for foreigners and has lost an local flavor it's hard for anyone from the local area to get by now. It's a fairly compact city sandwiched between the mountains and sea. It's the capital of Catalonia, a fiercely independent region with a strong identity, and the city itself had a lot of identity. Even a few years ago, locals could live in the city and it felt Catalan and Spanish. Seeing a tourist was normal, but not the majority. Now, I take my daughter to the park, and at least half the parents are speaking English, and we're not in a tourist area. The digital nomads and tourists are legitimately replacing locals in areas. Local restaurants used to be affordable and feel local, including restaurants from Thai, Italian, Chinese, African etc. immigrants. Now everyone is turning their bar into some mediocre brunch restaurant with €5 coffees. Rent prices have gone up dramatically, while salaries have stagnated. So locals can't afford to stay in their neighborhood, and now the building is full of foreigners working remotely with high salaries or part-time residents, none of whom will integrate into the community, but instead go to aforementioned brunch places before moving on to another city. Any sort of local attraction, whether it be the La Beccaria or bunkers, has been overrun with tourists and bastardized. Imagine if your local hangout in 10 years changed from being you and your community with some tourists around, to almost 100 foreign tourists, who jack up prices, and now the market only serves smoothies and you can't hang out in places you used to without feeling out of place. Barcelona and Catalan people are incredibly welcoming and friendly to immigrants. Nobody I know blames tourists, digital nomads personally, and acknowledge it's a complex problem regarding low salaries, not enough housing availability and too many tourists, which needs a political solution. As for the rest of Spain, it seems dependent on how livable the city is. You'll find many small towns to live in or places that haven't been so dramatically affected by tourism that may be nice to stay in. Though, sentiment is turning against tourism in other places like Valencia and the north of Spain, for the same reasons I mentioned above. Where have you lived? For context, I lived in Singapore, and I don't think I'd recommend it to many as a place to move, especially if you don't have location dependence for career that takes you there. It's just quite boring, expensive, oppressive even. Naya here, my mum doesn't make more than $50K a year and raised me and my sister as a single mother with our grandmother. We live in Washington Heights and she's been here for 30 years almost. It's not easy, but it isn't impossible. You can find a room in an apartment with roommates for about $900–1,200 and jobs are plentiful. Not everyone is paying $5K rent. That's for the rich who want a place in UES or UWS or Tribeca or Midtown etc. Agreed, although I would place Singapore 1. I come from freezing Northern Europe. Having lived there for a year was like a sweet dream coming true, essentially no crime, both super cheap and super fancy food everywhere, nature reserves, beaches, and the option to travel all of SEA in an hour flight. I'd say the Bay has more of a concentration of techies. NYC has it all, even artists, aspiring actors, the best dancers, performers etc. There's more variety of talent and everyone's living on top of each other due to a relatively smaller area where they congregate vs the bigger SFCA landmass. It's a culture that doesn't really exist anymore. There isn't exactly an avant-garde anymore, and even if there was, advances like the internet have gotten rid of any need for them to be in any specific place. We like to keep the romance of cultural meccas around, but it's been fueled by nostalgia for some time now.
Alright, so listen up, fellow Wanderlust warriors. If you're into travel books that are both hilarious and educational, like actually educational, not just some influencers' recycled travel quotes, then let me put you on to my all-time favorite, In the Sunburned Country by Bill Bryson. Now, Bryson may be an old fogey. Let's be clear, the guy probably travels with a fanny pack full of Rolaids, but the man does some of the funniest research about local history you'll ever read. It's like he'll tell you about a spider in Australia that can kill a horse, and then pivot to the fact that a human being still willingly lives here, sipping a flat white in some beachside cafe. It's absurd. It's hysterical. And it makes you wonder why anyone would leave the comfort of their Wi-Fi and unlimited data plan to come face to face with things that want to eat you. But what really makes Bryson stand out is how he weaves his trip through Australia with its wild history. Like, did you know that the place was basically settled as a giant prison colony? Mad respect to those OG convicts. The whole thing will make you appreciate how epic and insane this sunburned island really is. He'll have you laughing 1 second and genuinely grateful for your chance to experience a country that's simultaneously laid back and trying to kill you in 100 different ways. Anyway, once you've had your mind blown by Bill's comedic genius, pack your bags. Don't forget the SPF 50, and maybe I'll catch you on the beach at Surfer's Paradise, living my best digital nomad life. Working remotely and laughing at how you still think you need to take time off for vacations. Until that day, though, why not click that affiliate link in my description? Not saying I'm trying to buy my next flat white off your commission or anything, but you know, I'll toast to you while I'm basking in the endless summer. Cheers to adventure, questionable decision-making, and chasing Wi-Fi in paradise. Affiliate link. Remember to like and subscribe.
As someone who lived there for 10 years, I think your cheapest bet is getting a month-to-month sublet with a roommate off Craigslist. NYC doesn't just have everything you'd ever want to do, it has the best of whatever you want to do. I'm living in England now and have yet to find a curry better than my typical spots in Brooklyn, not even Queens, which has the city's best Indian food. It's also a huge mission to get anywhere and very cycling negative and can feel quite lonely because of how anonymous you are. Lots of feelings about NY, I should probably go to therapy. Toronto. Growing up there, I always thought everyone sucked. Then I started traveling, and I met super cool people who ended up shockingly being from Toronto. That's when I had an important realization about Toronto: all the cool people already left, smiley face. Toronto is the most corporate, soulless-feeling place I've ever lived. It is expensive as hell, but that doesn't correlate with quality of life. Not every place is for everyone. I would place Singapore 1, and I come from freezing northern Europe. Having lived there for a year was like a sweet dream coming true. Essentially no crime, both super cheap and super fancy food everywhere, nature reserves, beaches, and the option to travel all of SEA in an hour flight. The city is such a show. You want entertainment, just walk out the door. Meetups for every niche. If you're a runner, it's a fast town. Gorgeous parks along the Hudson and of course Central Park. I'm not talking about Midtown. Walk north 40 blocks where the buildings are only 13 stories high. Practically suburban. Talented people won't flock there if there's no opportunity. Supply and demand, but also, it means not everyone can live there. You have to either really want it, which is the majority of best people there, or have generational wealth to afford it. TBH, I'm kinda tired of hearing about this kind of stuff because it's literally happening everywhere. Nothing stays the same in price. They should be protesting to their local government opposed to the people. Honestly, every time I've been to NYC it just seems like a great time, and I can easily be entertained by just walking around the city and getting lost. I'd love to live there if it wasn't so expensive. 3 years in Switzerland, but I lived in Lausanne, only lived in Lucerne for weeks at a time. The access to nature and mountain towns from there are unparalleled. I wish I could have lived in Lucerne the entire 3 years. What I did like is the sheer amount of other creatives and bold people. But I felt an overwhelming sense of anxiety. Not fearing for safety in any way, but very nervous overall. Haven't felt that whatsoever once out of the country again. Probably the best city in the US and not overrun with drugs. San Francisco, amp, crime, Chicago. Also very walkable and interesting architecture, with lots to do and high-paying jobs. But not clean like Tokyo or Singapore.
As someone who's been around the world with nothing but a backpack and a Wi-Fi signal, I read plenty of travel books, but The Adventures of Mr. Brightside by Ryan Jacobson, now this is the real deal. Imagine living out all your travel dreams, staying in luxury penthouses one day, then stuffing your face with street scorpions the next. That's a wild ride I can respect. Jacobson's got this insane ability to make you feel like you're sitting right next to him, sipping champagne one moment, then scrambling to figure out how to survive in a hostel in the next. The guy's not afraid to get his hands dirty, and he's got the stories to prove it. But don't get me wrong, it's not the outrageous travel antics that make this book shine. It's the way Jacobson finds humor in everything, from getting hit in the face by an elephant, seriously, who does that, to losing himself in the chaos of international travel. His writing style, hilarious, relatable, and exactly what you need to keep flipping pages while planning your own escape from the 9 to 5. If you've ever wondered whether backpacker life or the baller experience is better, this book's got the answer. Spoiler, it's both, but only if you're cool enough to roll with the punches. So yeah, if you want a mix of real travel insights and laugh out loud moments, pick this up. Trust me, your next layover will thank you. Digital Danny signing off, professional wanderer, Wi-Fi whisperer, and lover of all things ridiculous. Link in the description.
I'm shocked you don't appreciate our city more. Most that visit think it's a gem. Clean, nice people, beautiful parks and museums, amazing food, unmatched lakefront. And it's affordable and not overrun by influencers and trust fundies like LA or NYC. That's what makes it obnoxious to me. A bunch of rich entitled tech bros, finance bros, and trust fund people. It's lost its interesting bohemian edge even though people still cosplay to play the part. I like this list because it's not the chaos nightlife that people seem to prioritize. NYC and Tokyo have so many people, and I remember feeling so relaxed in Christchurch and Sendai, felt much more livable and less rat racy. I wouldn't be surprised if certain crimes have risen, but I generally trust the murder stats because those are harder to manipulate, reclassify. Still, tons of Asian cities do a much better job controlling crime. I actually just moved from Austin to NYC, but I describe Austin the same way to people. It's like a college town that grew into a big city but didn't mature. Ultimately I moved because of the heat and walkability.
Yo, what's up, legends? It's your boy Digital Danny coming at you from Ibiza with another absolute banger of a recommendation that's going to level up your entire life. Alright, first of all, you're looking at these bad boys. The Sony WH-1000 XM4 noise-canceling headphones. I mean, come on, do I even need to say anything? Premium sound, top tier noise cancellation, and the best part, you can finally drown out that annoying neighbor's dog barking at 2 a.m. Or, your own inner thoughts. Either way, I'm obsessed. Now here's why you need them. First, dual device pairing. Yeah, multiple devices. So you can switch between your phone call with Karen from accounting and your Spotify without lifting a finger. Flex on your friends, make that seamless switch, and boom, you're back to ignoring work calls like a pro. And get this, 30-hour battery life. That's right, 30 hours. That's basically a full day of me ignoring the real world while jet-setting around the globe pretending to work. You charge these puppies for 10 minutes, and boom, 5 hours of playback. Perfect for my quick sprints between sipping overpriced cappuccinos and finding myself in exotic locations. And the noise canceling? Bruh, it's like putting the entire world on mute. You think your ex can break your concentration now? Nah, chief, not today. Speak to chat mode? Forget it. I'm ghosting mid-convo without even touching those. Touch controls on the ear cups, so you can adjust the volume and skip tracks just by swiping. It's like the future is now, and naturally, I'm living in it. Links to get your own set of these next-level headphones are right there in the description. Don't be that guy still rocking the free earbuds that came with your phone. Get yourself a pair and thank me later when your life sounds as premium as mine. Digital Danny out. Link in the description.